An energy co-op representing 44 Utah municipal power systems is mulling over plans to buy nuclear power generated at an Idaho site just 3.5 hours from Salt Lake.
Turns out this site has been a key player since nuclear energy's early days, and in the thick of it, an electrical engineer fresh out of the University of Utah. Specialist Dave McCann has tonight's Insight report.
Look across southern Idaho's Arco Desert. You see scrub oak, ancient volcano formations, and not much else. In the middle of it stands a fairly ordinary-looking brick building. Step inside, and you'll find an extraordinary monument to the early days of nuclear energy.
It really was the center of the nuclear universe.
It houses experimental breeder reactor number 1. Built by the Argonne National Laboratory, EBR-1 made history in December 1951 by lighting up 4 200-watt bulbs with nuclear energy.
First in the world to make a usable amount of electricity.
But there was a problem.
You could run a lot more than 4 light bulbs off a 250 kilowatt generator. There was a mistake made in the control panel. They need an electrical engineer to find out what the problem was.
Argonne's fix? They hired electrical engineers like Ray Haraldson, a new grad from the University of Utah.
By chance that this site was developing just when I got out of college, it would just everything pointed in this direction.
Soon, EBR-1 powered a whole lot more than 4 light bulbs.
Just a week later, we were able to run the whole thing and power enough to run not only this building, but much more.
A few of the scientists were on the team of Nobel Prize-winning physicist Enrico Fermi,
the father of atomic energy,
when he created the first nuclear chain reaction 10 years earlier. Now Ray was working with them side by side at EBR-1.
They took me under their wing, and I got a second education.
But for years, the U.S. government made sure no one knew exactly what they were doing.
My kids never knew what I did out here. I think my wife knew quite a bit.
Folks knew that there was something happening out here. They knew it was nuclear, that it was non-weapons.
We're looking at the top of the reactor here.
By 1953, scientists knew the EBR-1 could create more fuel than it used.
And you don't have to have an infinite supply of uranium to keep it going.
2 years later, EBR-1 reached an historic but frightening milestone. During a shutdown test in November 1955, the reactor suffered America's first unintended meltdown.
There was no noise, there's no explosion. What had happened? We weren't sure. Until a few minutes later, one of the radiation monitors signaled back here that there was radiation coming out of the reactor.
Half the reactor's radioactive core had already melted. Ray and others evacuated, but insist the public wasn't in danger.
So the reactor down there was only about as big as a football.
A rebuild of EBR-1's reactor started months later, but by then, new test reactors were coming online in the Idaho desert, including one powering the whole town of Arco, another nuclear first.
I was the one that closed the switch to let Arco.
The final shutdown for EBR-1 came in December 1963, and Ray was there 3 years later when President Lyndon Johnson dedicated the reactor as a national landmark. Its breakthroughs in nuclear energy technology may have been risky, but Ray says nearly all of the team lived to see old age.
I've been subjected to very high radiation levels here, and I'm still here.
Dave McCann, KSL 5 News.
Quite the